What's up, guys? Readiness Rations here with you again, and we're back with another international military ration review today. A French RCIR ration, or Ration Combat Individual Reheatable. The French RCIR is widely considered to be one of, if not the best and most comprehensive military rations in the entire world. These rations are designed to provide a soldier subsistence for a 24-hour period. The RCIR is a combat ration primarily for French troops, but it is approved for all NATO forces. Before we check it out though, don't forget to give the video a thumbs up if you like seeing these international military ration reviews, and to see all future ration reviews like this one, subscribe to the channel. The contents of this ration will be all the food I'm consuming for a full 24-hour period. First thing to do is to get this shiny outer wrapping off, and to remove that, I think we're going to employ this French bayonet. If you know what rifle this bayonet goes to, make sure you let me know down in the comments. And now we're down to just our bare cardboard box. This is our Ration de Combat Individual Reheatable 24-hour meal kit. This is clearly for the French Army, but is also NATO approved. Date of packing on this particular ration was October 2nd, 2018, with a very recent expiration date of March 6th, 2022. This particular menu is sans pork, which of course is without pork. And I like that they put the cumulative macronutrients right on the external package here. This full 24-hour ration comes in at 3,600 kcals and is comprised of 20% fat, 64% carbohydrates, and only 16% protein, coming in at a very hefty 1.75 kilograms. And they have a little warning label here that discusses drinking water and to make sure to inspect the contents of the ration before consumption. And I love the little SCA logo on the sides of the package here. We have a little pull tab on either side here, and then it opens right up. First thing on top there is a 100-gram pouch of Voyager brand chocolate muesli. Best by date on that was May 23rd, 2022. So as of the filming, we have not quite made it to that best by date yet. Next up is a 200-gram box of Biscuits d'Army, which consists of salted biscuits, cereal biscuits, and chocolate biscuits, a 20-gram package of Asian noodle soup, a Andros brand strawberry jam, a 30-gram package of citron-flavored isotonic beverage, a nice little pack of tissues or napkins. Got a few little bars here. First up, an IsoStar brand apricot cereal bar, a fruit nougat bar, and a 60% noir dark chocolate. Of course, noir just is dark in French. And a quite petite 20-gram cafe flavor energy bar. And as if we didn't have enough bars already, we do get a pâté de fruits. This can's seen a little bit of damage. A Mont Blanc Rouge à Lat, which is apparently a can of some kind of creamy dessert item. Really looking forward to trying that one out. A 78-gram tin of duck pâté, very luxurious for a military ration. Every French RCIR comes with two 300-gram tins of main entrees. The first one of two in this particular ration is Tuna Salad and chili con carne. That chef looks very content with his work. They include an individually sealed beverage pack, which I believe we're going to have to enlist the help of this bayonet again to get into. In there we have a double pack of soluble dried instant coffee, 2 sugar packs, 2 packs of salt, and 2 packs of pepper, a 20-gram package of hot cocoa, 2 tea bags. Very comprehensive drink options in the RCIR. Last item in our ration box is an accessory kit. That kit contains a flattened Esbit style stove, some Esbit fuel tabs for that stove, a fancy pack of toothpicks, a trash bag with some kind of tie string, 6 water purification tablets, a handle for cooking your entrees over your stove, an extremely minuscule little foldable spork, and a very French motif pack of matches to light your fuel tabs with. That is quite the massive spread of items. I'm going to do my best to break this down into 3 individual meals that we will be progressing throughout the day. Let's take it right over to breakfast. This is what I decided on for breakfast. Looks like a pretty sizable meal, actually. Of course, I'm going to be doing this chocolate muesli. Very conveniently, they put a fill line right on the outside of the package. You can, of course, do this with either hot water or cold water, depending on if you want more of a cereal or more of a porridge. I'm going to opt for the hot water option. This full package does come in at 412 kcals, and it looks like, even though there's a water fill line, the directed amount of water is 100 mils. The pouch is a Mylar construction. Looks like we got some chocolate chips and some oats. It's a little of that dry. You can tell it's got a little age on it. It's not really stale or rancid, but it's kind of getting there. This pouch was clearly not designed to add boiling water to, since it doesn't really stand up on its own. But that's how I prefer my muesli, hot like a porridge. So that's the way we're going. The 100 mils did make it right to the fill line. These sporks are for emergency use only. In the French military, a soldier would be issued a more standard mess kit eating utensil. You only use these if you don't have anything else. And at the moment, I don't have anything else, so we're using it. That hot water is melting all those little chocolate chips. And per the instructions, we'll give that 3 to 4 minutes. To accompany our hot muesli, we're gonna be doing 2 hot drinks. I'm gonna prepare both the coffee and the hot chocolate for breakfast. So let's tear into this SRD coffee first. I didn't see anything on these packages to give me an idea of how much water they require. Oh boy, does that smell good. That is most certainly freeze-dried coffee. They ended up maybe being 150 mils. No coffee whiteners or anything in this. Of course, they did include sugar, so I guess I'll give it a little dash of sugar while it's hot. Used about half that sugar bag, and the aroma of that coffee is absolutely fantastic. Now let's do our hot cocoa as well. This said that it had some whey powder in it, so I'm guessing that is the more white flakes that's in there. So this should be quite milky. Feel it till it looks right, since they didn't tell us how much we actually should put in it. And that smells almost as good as the coffee does. That took about 3 to 4 minutes. So let's get the muesli out onto the tray. It's a good bit of liquid left over. And a lot of muesli stuck to the inside of the pouch. That's a pretty appropriate portion for breakfast in my opinion. Definitely see what looks like flax seeds in there. We have our oats. All the chocolate chips have pretty much melted and made this sort of chocolatey, milky liquid. But I don't see much else other than that. Let's go in for a big heaping sporkful. Fantastic. The oats still have a nice chew to them. I really like that actually. It's not too overly sweet, just the right hint of sweetness for it to actually taste good. That liquid is milky and chocolatey. This will be loaded with fiber, have a decent amount of protein. It's rich, and it's going down very easy and very quickly. Let's catch a sip of our coffee. It's not too bad. It could use some creamer. It's slightly bitter. It could also use a little bit more sugar, but it has a good, rich coffee flavor to it, and I would consider that pretty robust of a cup for a military ration. We'll give the hot cocoa a taste too while we're at it. Oh, now that's the stuff. If you would have took this cocoa powder and dumped it in with the muesli before adding the water, you would have had something super special. The flavor on this is really good, akin to that of a Swiss Miss, but not as sweet. It's not super creamy or anything. It's a little bit watery, but the flavor is on point. I think the pro move in this situation is to mix the coffee and the cocoa, and that's really why I decided to do the cocoa for breakfast, because I wanted to try these two together. I love me some Army Ration mocha. And yes, those two are better in every way as combined. That killed the bitterness of the coffee, but you can still taste that nice, robust coffee flavor along with that chocolatey goodness. Really awesome combo. Let's check out our crackers. These are the first thing to go bad in the RCIR usually. So in that we have 2 packs of cereal biscuits, 3 packs of salted biscuits, and 3 packets of chocolate biscuits. And I think we'll check out the chocolate biscuit first, since we're already so deep in the chocolate. Corner was broke off that one. See if they have a good snap. Still, it was decent. There's our cross section. Thin, simple cracker. They still smell pretty fresh. No pungent aromas going on, good or bad. Very lightly flavored, especially after having the coffee. I've not tasted much chocolate coming from that. I can tell it is sweet, a little bit bready, nice and crisp though, and luckily very fresh tasting. I'll scoop a little bit of my chocolate muesli onto this, because you can never have too much chocolate on chocolate. Now that was really good. The little extra crunch and breadiness of the cracker complements the muesli well, and the added sweetness wasn't a bad thing either. I'll go in for one more of those. I suspect this cracker is going to be awesome for dipping though, so let's give that a good dunk in our French ration mocha here. Let it soak up a little bit of that luxurious liquid. It soaked it up quick too. That would turn into mush in no time. That's pretty good. I think the best way to go about doing this is actually take a bite of the cracker so it's still a little bit crunchy, and then a sip of the drink. And that is super good together. And I blew through those chocolate crackers, and the mocha is going the way of the dodo as well. Breakfast is off to a good start, but I'm still hungry. Let's try out some of this strawberry jam by Andros. Sort of a dark strawberry color, nice bits of seeds and plant matter in there, always a sign of quality. Super, super tasty. Tart, sweet, powerful strawberry flavor, excellent jam. I think that jam's gonna pair well with one of these cereal biscuits. Well, let's give that a taste by itself first. It's even more crisp than the chocolate was. It's a lot like a graham cracker. You can tell it's whole grain, very slightly sweet. It's a really good cracker, but I think that would be made better with some of this delicious strawberry jam. That was an explosion of flavor. This jam is excellent. I'll get another one of those with tons of jam on it. Crunchy, slightly toasty, sweet and fruity. Really, really good. But I think I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't try the jam with a salted cracker as well. These salted crackers smell super rancid. I don't think they've survived. The other two are great. These salted ones, not so much. I'm gonna taste it anyway just to see. Oh, The oils in this have gone off. It's still salty. It's not crunchy though. It's more mushy, like it's absorbed some moisture. It has this really off-putting, stale, rancid oil kind of flavor. I can probably cover that up with some jam and it'll be a little bit more edible. That helped. Nothing's getting around that aftertaste of rancid oil though. I feel like breakfast was lacking in protein up until this point, so I thought we would give our duck pate a try. Nice ring pull on this. Oh boy, look at that stuff. Oily, processed mystery meat. Smells decent though. Smells like some kind of canned luncheon meat, if you're familiar with that kind of aroma. The texture is not as creamy as I thought it would be. It's a little bit stringy. I guess that's actual duck meat that's in this mix. Looks less like a pate and more like a canned duck. We'll see how it tastes. Even though this is stringy looking, it's very creamy in the mouth. Has a little bit of a minerally, irony type flavor to it. Duck meat has that, along with duck liver. I think this is one of the best canned meats I've had in any ration ever. I'm a huge fan of duck, and this is really doing it for me. Super tasty. The salt is on point. I don't think this needs any kind of seasoning. It's awesome. Just eating straight out of the can like that. Texture is not just all mush. There is some muscle fiber in there, so it gives a little bit of a meaty chew. Delicious, actually. Far beyond what I thought it would be. I'll get a little of that for a cereal biscuit, since our salted biscuits aren't really tasting the best. See how that is together. Nice. The crunch goes well with the rich meatiness of the meat. That got me thinking, that little hint of sweetness of the cracker wasn't too bad. What if we accentuate that with a little bit of strawberry jam? Never tried strawberry and duck together, but when we have it, might as well give it a shot. I don't know if this would cause a French person to want to slap me or not, but if it does, make sure you let me know down in the comments. Duck pate with strawberry jam on a cereal cracker. Down the hatch we go. Whoa, that is tremendous. Super, super tasty. It's the perfect mix of savory and sweet, crunchy and creamy, fruity and meaty. Absolutely love it. So glad I gave that a shot. And because I still have this one cracker left, I guess we'll waste a little bit of our meat and try it on an old rancid salt cracker. The meat should help the cracker at least. Yeah, as I suspected, that was a waste of the meat. Heck, I'll squeeze a little jam on that one too, just to cover the cracker up that much more. That made it more tolerable. If this stuff was available in the stores here in the US, I would buy it all the time. Delicious. Far better than 99% of other canned meats that I've tried. We have so many little bars to get through today. I have to knock a couple out with breakfast, even though I've basically had my fill at this point. So let's get some intense energy going with this 1-2-3 energy bar by MX3 Extreme. Cafe flavor. Odd looking little thing. A little bit misshapen. Nice coffee smell to it. And it is soft, almost like a fudge consistency. In taste, there's not much coffee, although I could smell it. There's some tiny little bits of round crunchies you can see in there, but they're not as crisp as you think they would be. It felt like fudge, but it has more of the consistency of the inside of a protein bar. This thing is super small, easy to down on the go, and so it makes sense that they would put these in the rations. Pretty high sweetness level, not the best texture, but palatable enough to get a soldier to eat it. And we'll also do our IsoStar apricot cereal bar. Whoa, that smells really powerful of apricot. It looks a little bit like a granola bar, fairly sticky on the outside and gooey. Has sort of a puffed rice look to it. Now I like that one. The apricot flavor is really strong. I've never found apricot to be a super powerful flavor in the first place, but it really comes through with this. It's crispy, but at the same time chewy. Not very sweet at all. Another really easy to eat on the go option, and this time one that I actually quite like. That about does it for breakfast. This ration is really holding up to the French hype so far. I'm just looking forward to see how lunch goes. Of course, for lunch, we're going to be doing our tuna salad. Now, I've done an RCIR review in the past on my other YouTube channel, Readiness Reviews. And at some point, that review will make it to this channel. But for now, that video still lives on the other channel. In that video, I put together this RCIR S-bit stove, and we heated a meal using a fuel tab. So instead of putting this other stove together, I'm just going to use the one I already have put together. Of course, with that, we will be heating our main entree. This is a salad. Every RCIR comes with a salad item. In reality, I believe that item is supposed to be eaten cold, but I don't know about you. Something that has tuna and potatoes and carrots and corn seems like it would be a little bit better heated to me. And they do include a total of 6 fuel tabs, so you have plenty enough fuel in a single day to heat every meal with those. So what I'm going to do is try some cold and heat some, and we'll see which way's better. Nice easy ring pull on this. RCIR mains are 300 grams, a very generous serving amount. There's a lot of oil on the top of this, and it has a good bit more liquid than I imagined it would. I thought it would be more thick. It's almost like a stew or soup consistency. Ooh, it smells good though. You can certainly smell those red bell peppers. I'd say that is the most pungent aroma coming from this. Doesn't really smell fishy at all. I'm gonna scoop some of this cold onto the tray, and I'm gonna call on aid from a NATO ally to do so. And we're going to employ a US MRE spoon. Yeah, look at that oil slick. Super oily. It was like tuna in oil. Seems to be a lot of tuna in here too. All right, I'd say that is enough to get an idea of how this is cold. I'm gonna redistribute the remaining portion in our tin, and we'll attempt to light our stove. I like going at these fuel tabs from the side usually. I feel they take a flame better that way. And I will put one more across the top here. I suspect that's gonna have that fuel tab lit for us. Oh yes, it is certainly burning. So we're gonna take our tin here and sit it right on the flame. My reviewing area is a well-ventilated area, which is what you want when you're dealing with those SBIT fuel tabs, because they do off-put some gas that's a little bit noxious in nature. That is bringing the tuna to a boil almost instantly. It's looking like this is going to heat a lot quicker than I suspected. We have several liquid items to prepare with our lunch. A couple of those hot. So firstly, we'll look at our Asian-style noodle soup. That soup mix has a very interesting smell. It has some Chinese 5-spice or something like that in this. Seems to be a little bit clovey in nature. You can see it's got some tiny little noodles in there and a good bit of what appears to be a chicken-based powder with some green herbs in there. I'm gonna add some screaming hot water to that. I'm sure those noodles are gonna take a minute or two to reconstitute. Ooh, that seems to be thickening up very well. Lots of noodles in there, lots of flecks of green herb, a couple little freeze-dried carrot pieces hiding out. And we're also gonna do this tea bag. Smells nice and fruity. Give that some time to steep. And the last drink we have is our isotonic citrus-flavored drink. This is supposed to be an appropriate amount of powder for 500 milliliters of water. That powder smells excellent. It's very similar to a lemon lime MRE beverage powder from our American rations. Sort of a pale white look to it. That seems to be dissolving very easily. Smells a lot like lime. I think this main is definitely well heated enough at this point. So we're gonna take that off the flame. A little bit burned to the bottom there. That pretty much always happens when you're cooking in a tin on an SBIT stove like that. Only way to avoid that is to either take it off when it just first starts getting hot, or to stir it pretty much the entire time, which I didn't have the luxury to do in this case. So one half is steaming hot, the other half is room temperature. So first, the room temperature side, we're sitting at 71, and our heated one is all the way up to about 150. I can't get over how much oil is in this. Lots of fat in this main. We very clearly have carrots, red peppers, corn, potato, a little bit of what appears to be onion, and lots of tuna with oil. Looks pretty good, smells quite nice. Let's try it cold first. So I got some carrot and some potato, some tuna. Let's see how that is. I see why they refer to this as a salad. It's tangy, almost like it has some salad dressing on it. And that might be what that oil is. It might be sort of like an oil and vinegar kind of thing. Being cold, it's still perfectly fine. The potato was nice and soft. Carrot's a little sweet. The tuna is both a mix of meaty chunks and little stringy bits that just kind of get lost with everything else. It's slick from the fat. Salt level seems really good. As far as herbs and spices goes, I'm not picking up on anything in particular. This seems to derive all of its flavor from the major ingredients in it. The red bell pepper flavor is forward of everything else. You get a little sweetness of the carrot, and then a little fishiness from the tuna. Pretty good cold. Now, let's try it thoroughly heated. Get some potato, corn. The potatoes are super soft on the warm side. The sweetness of the corn and the carrot is a nice complement to the sort of sour tanginess of whatever kind of sauce or dressing is on this. It's not overly fishy. I think even people that are not into canned tuna would still be able to eat this and enjoy it. If you did a blind taste test on this, you might not even know that it's tuna. It's that mild. There's a lot of meat in this though, so you're gonna get a good dose of protein, fiber from the corn. Really just an awesome menu item all its own. I think it could use a little bit of black pepper. That certainly won't hurt. It doesn't need salt, in my opinion. That pepper added just the slightest tingle of heat, but is very mild pepper in general, so it didn't bring much in the way of flavor. The noodles in this soup really expanded to take up a lot of the glass. Look how thick this is. They didn't play on the thickening agents. That is like luscious in texture. Let's see how it tastes. Oh yeah, It has this awesome 5-spice-esque kind of flavor. It may even be allspice, nutmeggy, clovey, slightly anisey sort of thing going on. I've never had anything quite like this before in my life. It doesn't taste like any soup at any Chinese restaurant, that's for sure. I got a little carrot chunk just now that was super sweet and slightly crunchy. Very tasty. That is awesome. On a cold night, a nice hot cup of this would hit the spot 100%. The little noodles just dissolve. You can't even tell they're there. High sodium content, deep and rich in flavor. Really an awesome addition to the ration. I'm ready for a cold drink now though, so let's try out our isotonic beverage. Now that is weird. I would describe it as being soapy. It has a very odd feel in the mouth. It's like it's thicker than it should be. It's a little bit salty. It's sweet, but in a weird way. Sort of like a background sweetness, if that makes any sense. And the citron flavor reminds me of the way some household cleaners taste. Sort of a citron detergent, very limey in nature, more lime-like than lemon-like. Odd, very odd. I'm gonna try another pack of salty crackers to see if this one fared any better than the ones earlier in the day. It smells virtually the same, but I will scoop a little main on that just to say I gave it a try. Tuna salad on a cracker. That would probably be really nice if the cracker didn't suck so much. Take a sip of our tea. There's no sugar in this, but it's very light on the tannic bitterness. Not super floral like I thought it would be from the smell. A pretty basic cup of tea in my opinion. Needs a little bit of sugar, so put the rest of my sugar pack from earlier in there. That little bit of sweetness woke it up slightly, but that's still just a very mild cup of tea. And I didn't put very much water in this at all. I like it, but I don't love it. Fair at best. Last thing for lunch is a pâté de fruits. It kind of flipped off screen, but I have recovered it. And there it is, a sugar-coated jelly fruit bar. There's a look at that awesome gelled center. Tons of sugary crust on the outside. Not much smell. Going for a bite. Thick jelly consistency, but it dissolves very quickly in the mouth. Sweet and very tangy. This tastes of black currant, which I think is where that tang is coming from. Black currant is a flavor that's sort of like a combination of other fruits. It's a little bit like cherry, a little bit like grape, a little bit like blueberry, kind of all mixed together. I looked on the ingredients of this. It contains a good amount of apple, but you don't really get any apple flavor coming through. The main flavor is that of black currant, and I never complain about that. I love the tartness. It's similar to eating a candy, but more of a healthy kind of candy, I suppose. My only complaint is that it's so small. They should definitely make these in 50 grams instead of 30 grams. I think that about does it for lunch. Just one more meal to get through in this 24-hour ration. And finally, down to the chili Con Carne. We got one tea bag left, so let's get that going first. This is the mint tea, or menthol tea, and that tea bag smells awesomely minty. That's green tea. Now the can of chili here just came off the boil, so it should be quite hot. Hopefully we can get this open without injuring myself by either a sharp lid or molten internal contents. The aroma started wafting, and it smells pretty darn good. Let's get those 300 grams of chili goodness onto the tray here. Steaming hot. I'm no bean expert, but I think there's kidney beans. There's a little bit of tomato in here, it looks like. Of course, there should be in any good chili. A couple tomato skins floating around. We had corn in our salad option as well, so if you weren't a corn fan, probably wasn't the menu for you. And there is a piece of green bell pepper. So there is some green bell pepper in here to accompany everything else. The meat in the sauce is a very fine ground beef, it looks like. There's a couple medium-sized chunks, but for the most part, it's a very fine, almost taco meat style beef that's in this. The smell coming off of this is chili powder forward. There's no doubt in your mind when you open that can that this is chili. And even being from France, this seems like a pretty standard chili con carne recipe. Let's get in there and taste it. Try to get a little bit of everything in this first bite. The dog smells this one as well, and she's certainly waiting for her taste. Now that is dang good. That tastes a lot more like something homemade than something out of a can. The beans are nice and soft. The meat, although a little dry, has a decently pleasing texture. There's not enough corn in this to really make a difference in the flavor. It adds a little bit of texture variation when you get a bite with a few corn kernels like this one, and the slightest amount of sweetness. It has a very rich feel in the mouth. It's almost creamy, heavily spiced with chili powder. It's not spicy, but it has a lot of chili powder in it, maybe some onion powder as well, probably some garlic powder. making it not the least bit bland and really just a super solid canned chili. Probably the best chili out of a can that I've ever had. Like I said, this is more akin to something homemade than something canned. In fact, I've had people's homemade chili that wasn't this good. I will very easily polish this 300 gram portion off without a doubt. I'm gonna use up my remaining pack of pepper here. What would be perfect in this is a little bit of hot sauce or some cayenne pepper, something to give it some heat. It doesn't necessarily need it, but I'm gonna give it a little dusting of salt too, just to make it pop a little bit. That extra sodium gives everything a little bit more sharpness, makes the individual flavors stand out a little better. That pepper being so mild kind of just gets lost. Very pleasantly tasty though. We'll give the tea a sip. Tastes like peppermint tea, which is essentially what it is, I suppose. It's green tea with peppermint or menthol, spearmint, one of those. It's not overly minty. It's not like eating a lifesaver or something. I do think a little sugar would make that a little bit better. It's very drinkable without the sweetener as well though. I like this tea a fair bit more than the tea that we had for lunch. Oh yeah, the sweetener livens that up a lot. I legitimately enjoy that. Next to try out will be our nougat ox fruits, or nougat, depending on where in the world you're from. It's a fruit and nougat bar. These go bad very quickly. Look at all those dried fruits in there and that white nougat. Looks like a piece of papaya right there. Feels pretty soft, a marshmallow-like consistency. Uh-oh, it's smelling rancidy. It smells old, does not smell good, although it still smells a little sweet. Let's give it a taste. The texture is excellent. Super sweet. The sweetest thing that I've had all day. I'm sure the dried fruit has something to do with that. And even though this smelled bad, it just tastes great. This textured bit externally on either side, I believe is rice paper, and that's to prevent you from getting super sticky, touching the nougat itself. That rice paper is, of course, completely edible. I can't taste any individual fruits in this. Everything just kind of blends together. Aside from tasting like mildly fruity sugar, there's not really much going on. However, I do like the texture. Not bad. That has pineapple, papaya, and raisins in it. It leaves a little bit of a burning aftertaste though, like a really artificial drink, like a Sunny D or something that sort of burns on the back end. Not hot like spicy, but more of a chemical thing. And we'll go in for our 60% dark chocolate. The bar broke a little bit in transit, but nothing too tragic. A little bit of whitening on the outside, but this looks like a perfectly fine chocolate bar to me. Nice snap. Looks excellent on the inside. So crunchy and snappy. Fantastic texture and sweet for a dark chocolate. Awesome dark cacao hit. That is seriously good stuff. It's melting very quickly in the mouth, but it also has a very satisfying crunch and excellent chocolate flavor. Last item is probably the item that I was the most excited to try, and that's our Mont Blanc Riz à Lot. I'm probably saying that terribly. I'm a stupid American after all, so please forgive me. Oh yeah, that's looking good. So jiggly. Look at that pudding jiggle texture to it. It has almost no smell. It's a bit more chunky than I thought it would be. I think this is sort of a rice pudding. Has kind of a milky, cheesy smell, similar to sweetened and condensed milk, I would say. And then all of this chunky bit in there is rice. Big healthy spoonful of that, and down my gullet it goes. The best parallel I can draw to this is putting sweetening condensed milk on instant rice. The rice has the texture of rice that's been cooked a little bit too much and has absorbed a bit too much liquid. It's not too super sweet, although it is sweet. I don't really like the rice texture, but the overall flavor is very pleasing. It's milky, ever so slightly cheesy, certainly unlike anything I've ever had before. What I want to do now though, put a little bit of chocolate on top of it, because I think that would really unlock some hidden potential here. The chocolate's a little bit too crunchy to really make nice little pretty chocolate curls. And now let's try our chocolate coated rice pudding. Try to get as much chocolate in this bite as possible. That is where it's at. That compounding flavor of adding the dark chocolate really kicks this whole thing off. Where it was a really mild flavored pudding before, there's a bit more depth going on now. I would even take a small bite of this and then follow that up with a bite of chocolate, and letting those mix in the mouth is a fantastic way to do it as well. I can't just call it a day without giving one of these cereal crackers a dunk in the rice pudding. I really want to try this item every way it can be enjoyed. The cracker actually has a heavier flavor than the pudding does. The pudding just made the cracker sweeter. And we'll do the same with the chocolate cracker to leave no stone unturned. There we are. Not bad, but I think the real Pro way to do this is to just desertify the whole thing. Chocolate cracker, rice pudding, topped with chocolate, and that's where it's at. The chocolatey punch of that dark chocolate, along with the crunch, really pushes that over the edge and makes it a fantastic dessert option. Well, that's been a full day of eating an RCIR, Ration de Combat Individual Reheatable, menu number 6, packaged in 2018, and still mostly fresh in May 2022. Can't ask for much more than that. And that was a fantastic, world-class military ration eating experience. The guys that actually get supplied these are very lucky in comparison to other military rations that could be issued. If the French know one thing, that's food. And they really do their military rations right. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you liked this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up to help it out with that Google algorithm. If you want to see more ration reviews like this in the future, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought about this review down in the comments. Are there any components that you would have mixed differently? And what ration would you like to see me review next? I really appreciate you guys checking it out, and I will catch you in the next video. See you then. Peace.